Hey guys, what is going on? Sharp Thinking here. So I wanted to do another Emerson discussion video. Today I have an Emerson CQC13 that I bought. This is going to be a knife for the channel, I guess. It's going to be one that I use. I put through its paces. I have carried it a couple of times, but this is just going to be an overview and like general discussion video. So it's not a review of this knife. It's just me talking about it. So yeah, one thing I failed to put together was this knife is discontinued. So they might bring it back. Emerson has been known to do that. They may not. Personally, I think this is a badass looking knife. Ever since I got, hold on one second. Ever since I got this knife, this vintage XM18, I have been absolutely in love with Bowie blade shapes, and this is just a mean blade shape. So yeah. A while ago, I did an Emerson video about the fit and finish and quality that I perceived the knife having, and it got a lot of attention, I'll say, both good and bad. A lot of Emerson guys showed up, and a lot of guys that don't like Emerson showed up. Definitely, I love seeing that. I love seeing conversation in the comments. I like watching arguments go down. But yeah, Emerson knives, for some reason, tend to strike up quite a bit of controversy. Now, I guess I'll preemptively beat most people's objections to buying an Emerson. 154 cm G10 titanium liner, steel liner. Most of their knives are about $250 or $200 plus, I'll say. Some are below. I think the CQC7 might be a little bit below, but I don't really know the exact price on it. It might be 200. It could very well be 200. Yeah, so I guess the first thing is the materials for the money. People feel that they are not getting their money's worth when they buy an Emerson, and also the fit and finish. I wanted to take a second to recognize this is the second Emerson I have done a video on, and this is an older model. It's not as new as the CX that I initially did a video on. This knife feels almost identical. You can see the lockup, perfect, no stick, none of that weird stuff going on. It does look to be a little off center, but I have not played around with the pivot yet. I actually just tightened the pivot down as much as I could while still being able to open the knife, because I just kind of like a little bit tighter fin action on a large knife, but that's just my own preference. So yeah, I guess while we're talking about the CQC13, we will do a size comparison just so you guys know how big this guy is. Here it is against a SOCOM and an LUDT from Microtech. Emerson does a really nice job with their satin finish. It reminds me a lot of this knife, almost a little bit cleaner than this knife, I would say. You can see that there's some kind of like flaws in the satin that they do. In this knife, it's a perfect satin. Let's see, some Chris Reeves. Here's a Umnumzon and a Sabenza 21, both Wilson Combat versions. Let's see, XM18 and a Strider SNG, another knife that the knife community seems to beat up on quite often. Let's see, Microtech Stitch. Here it is against a North Arm Skaha 2. And then what else do we have? We'll do the Native 5 from Spyderco and the Kershaw Blur. So big knife, definitely very beefy and overbuilt. I would say it feels overbuilt. We're gonna find out if it is truly worth the weight. I think if I don't do this one because it is discontinued, I might get a CQC8 and just try to beat on it, see what happens. Yeah, so a couple of things I noticed about this knife specifically was I've criticized knives with very elaborate handle contouring. This knife, somehow, some way, seems to have mastered that. So it is about as contoured as it can get without being completely, like it looks like it would be comfortable. It doesn't look ridiculous. Like some knives that look, a little out there, you're just like, well, it's design. It's not meant to be comfortable. This looks comfortable. God, I can't talk. This looks comfortable, and it also is comfortable. I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised at how well thought out these ergonomics are. So a couple of things I noticed in handling the knife was the clip, first and foremost, is positioned in a spot where it's completely out of the way. The only way I can tell that the clip is there is because it's cold. I really can't feel the clip too much when I hold the knife in like a hammer grip. I'm sure if I change my grip around, yeah, even here, I can tell it's there because it's metal, but I don't feel any sharp spots because of how well it's integrated into the grip. So, like, basically the center of my palm wraps around the clip, and it just kind of disappears. Now, will that be the case with all Emersons? Probably not. But is it the case with the CQC13? Yes. Now, what else is good about this? The design doesn't have that much of a contour on the spine where it's putting unnecessary pressure on your hand. The center of your hand is the most sensitive part of your hand. I hate saying words over and over and over. Moving on. Yeah, it does a great job of dispersing the force that your hand experiences throughout, the outside as well as the palm. You do get a little bit of pressure on the inside of your palm, but it's not as bad as, say, the PM2 or, just something like even the Hinderer has a little bit more curvature to it, where if you're really bearing down on this knife, you can definitely feel it in your palm. This is not perfect, but it's much better than I was expecting. Another thing to note, where do I want to go next? Oh, I guess we'll talk about fit and finish. Fit and finish on this is damn near perfect. The liners aren't finished, but other than that, there's no, like the liners are perfectly, like there's no liners sticking out or anything. I hear that a lot about Emersons is, the liners aren't fit. And just, there's not really anything fit and finish wise that stands out to me. If you guys see something, let me know. I just don't see anything. I do know that Emerson is pretty inconsistent with their G10. This G10 has like a certain chatoyance to it. It's got like a little, I don't know. It just reflects light in an interesting way that I've never seen in G10 before. It's not a problem. It is interesting though. I have to say I've never seen that. The blade. So we have a Saber Ground 154 cm blade. By the way, this is a titanium liner. No stick. It hasn't moved since I got it. I've had it for about a week. Been playing with it nonstop. So I'll keep you guys updated on that. But so far, so good. The blade, 154 cm, Saber Ground, chisel edge. I want to make a video about chisel ground knives in the future. I don't have a problem with this being a chisel ground knife. I think it's maybe something I will have to get used to, but I had a discussion with Super Steel Steve about chisel ground knives, and there are some benefits to it, and I'll leave it at that just so I can cover it in the video designated to chisel ground edges. I think the blade is beautiful. It's got a stonewashed flat. Very nice grind lines. I mentioned that earlier. It really is a beautiful knife. It's such a badass like American knife. You know what I mean? It's just got the Bowie. It's uber tactical. If you carry something like this, you probably run nods at the range. Even during the day, you run nods. Um, but yeah, super cool. I've not tried to wave it out of my pocket. I'm just not the guy for it. But I don't know. Maybe I'm not gonna grind it off, but I don't know. To me, I like just opening my knives slowly. That's why I tend to tighten my pivots down a little bit. Speaking of opening, we have a thumb disc. I know a lot of guys replace the thumb disc. I may do that. I think it could be a good idea. I really don't mind the size of this, though. I know a lot of people put bigger thumb discs on the Emersons. I know the CX had one. That was a buddy of mine's. He put an aftermarket on. Hardware on this, I'm kind of bouncing around. Sorry about that. Got some Phillips heads. Not complaining about that. I have tightened down the clip all the way. Didn't strip any of them out. Didn't even mark them up, really. They appear to be a high quality Phillips head. Not spanner. What is that? A flathead for the pivot. I don't mind that. It's easy to adjust. You can use, whatever's next to you. This is like a tackle box separator thing. If it'll fit, yeah, it won't fit, but you get the point. I think a penny or a dime would work. Not sure about a quarter or a nickel because those are a little bit thicker, but I don't mind. This is not some sort of showpiece. It's not some beautiful. It is very beautiful, but it's not like some high end, very pretty DLC'd out knife, where you're afraid to mess it up. This is definitely a user. G10, 154 cm, and liners. It's a pretty basic knife, and I definitely see why people are attracted to these. I can also see the flip side to it, where people just feel like they're not getting a lot of knife for their money. Let me see if I can find my military. I usually keep my Spyderco military in a backpack. So here it is against the military. I have my backpack right by my feet. So this knife is with the titanium frame lock on this, $200 new. This knife was $250 new, or $249.99. But you're getting S90V carbon fiber and a titanium frame lock. I swapped it for a liner, but yeah, I get it. Trust me, I'm not ignoring it. I get it. However, I've heard a lot of bad things recently about Spyderco's warranty, and I've never heard a bad thing about Emerson's warranty. I've heard that they'll, and this is a titanium liner. I mentioned it, but if it goes to the other side, they'll fix it for you. They'll either replace your stop pin or they'll swap out the liner. I've heard people having, one or the other done. Really, there's not much else you could do. But Emerson seems to stand behind his knives. Ernest Emerson, that is. And yeah, I get it. I get what he's doing. His whole philosophy is this isn't some showpiece that you flip around on the couch. It's a tool. He views knives most likely the same as, like a hammer. It's just a utilitarian piece that you carry with you. Or, a lot of people view guns like that too. They view guns as self-defense tools. They don't really, which in my opinion is kind of pushing it. I view it as a weapon, or a weapon system, whatever. But I get it. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, definitely a cool knife. I'm glad I picked it up. I will be picking up more Emersons. I just think they're badass. I've been buying a lot of the same knives, for years now. I had, at one point, I bought 3 Sabenzas almost at the same time. I currently have 3 SOCOMs. I have a lot of duplicates and triplicates of knives, and it's cool to branch out and experience something new. So that's really what I'm trying to do here. And yeah, that's all I got, guys. Sorry to ramble. But yeah, I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much and I fucked up the outro. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye.